Hello and welcome to Local Edition. I'm Leslie Leyton. We're joined now by Bob Dutton, State Senator, and to talk about, among other things, changes possibly to the American with Disabilities Act to prevent frivolous lawsuits that can become quite a burden on business owners. Thank you very much for being here.
Well, thank you, Leslie. I'm glad to be here too.
Now, you're working on legislation that would hopefully prevent frivolous American with Disabilities lawsuits. How do you protect people who deserve to be protected, Americans with disabilities, and prevent these frivolous lawsuits?
Well, the idea behind the frivolous lawsuits is to try to eliminate these unnecessary lawsuits by allowing like a 90-day grace period for somebody to fix the violation before a lawsuit can actually be filed. And the feeling is we'd see greater compliance with the ADA once that would happen. Unfortunately, what's happening now is a lot of small business owners are actually being victimized by a group of attorneys and other people who are taking advantage of a good act but actually extorting money out of these small business operators with no improvements being made. And it's because of the immediate threat of lawsuit and not given the opportunity to correct the violation.
So your hope is that by giving business owners 120 days to comply, that they'll comply, and the real lawsuits will then be able to move forward and the frivolous ones will go away.
Yeah, my original bill last year was for a 120-day grace period. I was unsuccessful, so now I'm going with a 90-day grace period. As a matter of fact, there's also legislation pending before Congress on the federal level that also is going to call for a 90-day grace period as well.
What sort of response are you getting?
I'm getting overwhelming response. As a matter of fact, we'll be having a workshop that's going to come up. We'll be having it at the San Bernardino Chamber of Commerce, and that'll be on March 9th. From 7:30 to 9:30 in the morning, so you got to be an early riser. And also, too, Time Warner's going to actually be there to tape it, and so that we can actually make sure we get the information out on how to avoid, these frivolous lawsuits, in the future.
Yeah, because business owners want to comply. They just need sometimes the information. And then, how can we find the information on Time Warner?
On Time Warner, well, they'll be taping it, and I'm sure it'll be on their informational channels.
Yeah, on the on-demand on Channel 1, and then you'll be able to watch that if you can't make it out to that. You know, there's been a lot of criticism over the high-speed rail project. Like a lot of construction projects, it at least takes twice as long and costs twice as much, and some projections are far worse than that. What do you think should happen with the high-speed rail project from here on out?
Well, I've actually co-authored legislation with Senator Doug LaMaffa from up north. It's SB 985, and we feel that bond issue should be put back on the ballot. The project has totally changed in cost estimates and everything else. And it's going to become a tremendous burden on the taxpayers of California if we don't correct the situation. So I'm all in favor of putting it back on the ballot. Give the voters the current information that's out there, the new information that's available, so that we can make sure that the voters understand what it is that they're committing to for the future.
How quickly can it get on the ballot? Are you talking about the November ballot?
In November, well, it's up to the legislature. If we can move it through the legislature and do it by legislative action, it can actually hit the November ballot.
And are you talking about designing the legislation so that it mothballs it completely, or puts it on hold, makes some design changes?
To reconsider the ballot measure with current updated information. Because before, what it was estimated, it started out to be like a $30 billion project, got up to around $42 billion. Now it's well over $100 billion. And people were thinking that the $8 or $9 billion bond measure that they passed was going to pay for the whole thing, and it never was anyway.
Yeah, some people are feeling like now they're seeing the fine print on something that they thought was a good idea in the first place. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
And thank you for tuning in. More HLN next.